You ever sit there, staring at the chaos around you, wondering how everything got so tangled? You think, why does this always happen to me? The bills keep piling up, relationships keep breaking down, life keeps slapping you across the face, and you're just stuck trying to hold it all together like some fragile house of cards. Worrying. Oh, it's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? You sit there, pacing, ruminating over every single detail of your life. What's going to happen next? What will they think? What if this goes wrong? What if that happens? It's like you're trapped in this endless loop of mental gymnastics, trying to solve all the problems that don't even exist yet. But here's the thing you never really stop to think about. Worrying does absolutely nothing. It's like running on a treadmill, sweating and gasping for breath, but never getting anywhere. You're burning energy, putting yourself through all this stress, and for what? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, look at it this way. You're stuck in this whirlwind of thoughts, just imagining every terrible outcome that could possibly happen, right? It's like watching a disaster unfold in your head over and over again. But that disaster? It hasn't happened. Not yet. It's a figment of your imagination, a scary story you've made up in your head, and you're so convinced it's real, so wrapped up in it, that you can't even see the truth. The disaster isn't here yet. You're sitting in your own self-inflicted storm, creating problems that don't even exist, and you don't even realize how much energy you're wasting, how much power you're giving to these invisible, hypothetical scenarios that, let's face it, will probably never happen. You see, what's fascinating about worrying is that it doesn't just stop at the surface level. It digs deep. It eats at you from the inside out. The more you worry, the more you amplify that chaos, that sense of impending doom. You keep running those tapes over and over, like you're trying to outthink the universe. No matter how hard you try, how much you think, how much you twist and turn, you can't control what's coming. It's like you're trying to prevent a storm with a feather. Sure, you might feel busy, like you're doing something, but nothing is changing. You just keep spinning your wheels, and in the end, the storm still hits. And when it does, you're exhausted. You've drained yourself for nothing. But why do we do this to ourselves? The reality, why do we let worry dominate our lives? It's almost like we get addicted to it. We feel like if we don't worry, we're not doing enough. We're not taking the necessary precautions. But what are we really protecting ourselves from? The truth is, you can't protect yourself from the unknown. You can't control every outcome, every twist and turn in the road. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop giving worry the power it doesn't deserve. Here's a fun little fact. The thing you're worrying about most likely won't happen. Oh sure, you can convince yourself that everything is falling apart, that every little thing is spiraling out of control, but guess what? In most cases, things turn out just fine. It's all in your head. Your mind is a master at exaggerating, at creating scenarios that never even cross the line from your imagination to reality. And guess what? Worrying about those scenarios doesn't make them any less likely to happen. In fact, it just makes you more miserable. It makes you lose sleep, lose focus, lose time. Time you could be using to actually solve real problems. Time you could be using to enjoy the good things around you. Worrying is a trap. It's the perfect trap, because it's so hard to see it as one. It convinces you that you're doing something productive, that if you just think about it enough, you'll figure it out. But all you're really doing is circling the drain. You're stuck in a loop, feeding the machine. And the more you feed it, the more it grows. It gets louder, it gets stronger, until one day you can't even hear your own thoughts anymore. You can't even feel your own reality, because you've let worry hijack your mind, your peace, and your time. You've handed it the keys to your life and said, go ahead, take the wheel. And it's not just controlling your thoughts anymore, it's controlling you. Now think about this. What if instead of spending all your energy on worrying, you just let go? What if you stopped trying to micromanage every aspect of your life, every outcome, every little interaction? What if you accepted that things are going to happen the way they happen, no matter how much you obsess over them? What if you realized that all this stress, all this tension, all this frantic thinking isn't getting you any closer to a solution? It's just keeping you stuck. Worrying doesn't protect you. It doesn't prepare you. All it does is keep you chained to the fear of the unknown, a fear that never really goes away. It doesn't make you stronger. It just makes you tired. So instead of feeding the worry machine, instead of giving in to the panic and the fear, why not try something different? Why not just let it be? Let the chips fall where they may. Let go of the illusion of control and embrace the uncertainty. Because the truth is, when you stop worrying, you'll realize that the world doesn't fall apart. It keeps spinning, and you just keep living. Control. Isn't it a funny little thing? We spend so much of our lives trying to control everything, don't we? Every detail, every move, every outcome. We want it all in our grasp, neatly packaged, tied with a bow, and ready for us to enjoy. We think that by keeping everything under control, we're safe, we're secure, we're ready for anything. But here's the reality. Control is an illusion. You can't control everything. You can't control the future, the past, other people, or the way the universe spins. No matter how much you twist the dial or push the buttons, there's always something slipping through your fingers. It's almost as if we've been taught to believe that controlling things is the only way to survive, the only way to feel like we have a handle on the chaos of the world. We cling to the idea that we must orchestrate every little thing, make sure everything is in its place. But when you're constantly tightening the grip, trying to hold everything in place, what happens? It just slips away, doesn't it? You keep pushing harder, trying to force it all to line up. But no matter what you do, you can't stop it from slipping through the cracks. You can't stop life from happening the way it does. You can't stop the rain from falling, the sun from setting, the seasons from changing. And the harder you try to keep control, the more you strain, the more exhausted you get. Control is a great lie. It's the grand illusion we tell ourselves to feel safe in a world that's anything but predictable. We tell ourselves that if we control the way we look, the way we speak, the way we behave, everything will turn out okay. But it doesn't. It never does. And the reason it doesn't is because no matter how hard you try, you can't control everything, and you can't control other people's actions, their opinions, their moods. You can't control the way they treat you, or the things they say, or the decisions they make. No matter how much you try to fix it, control it, you can't. It's like trying to control the wind. It blows where it wants to. It bends to no one. You can fight it, but in the end it doesn't give a damn about your plans. And yet here you are, still trying to control everything. Of course, they don't. They don't give. Why? Why are we so obsessed with control? What is it about the idea of having power over every situation that makes us feel safe? Because the truth is, trying to control every little thing only makes you weaker, not stronger. It's exhausting. It's draining. You spend your days holding on so tight that you forget to actually live. You spend your time running in circles, trying to arrange the world in your perfect image. But life's not a puzzle. It's messy. It's unpredictable. It's full of surprises. And no matter how much you try to set it all up perfectly, life will always find a way to throw you curveballs. So what happens when you realize this? What happens when you finally get it, that you can't control everything? That no matter how hard you try, the universe has its own agenda. You have two choices. You can keep fighting it, keep straining yourself, keep trying to bend the world to your will, or you can stop. You can let go. Let go of the illusion of control and accept the chaos, the unpredictability. You can surrender to the fact that you don't know what's coming next. And you know what? That's okay. Because once you accept that you can't control it all, you'll find a strange kind of freedom. You'll find peace in the uncertainty. You'll realize that the world doesn't need to be perfectly ordered for you to thrive. You don't need to control every situation to feel safe. You don't need to control the outcome to live your life. Life is messy, sure, but that's where the beauty lies. It's in the unpredictability, the surprises, the moments that make no sense but turn out to be the most meaningful. The real power comes when you stop trying to control everything and just let life unfold the way it's meant to. Stop holding on so tight. Stop clutching onto every little thing, trying to micromanage your way through life. You're suffocating yourself in the process. You're wasting all that energy on something you can't change. And the more you try, the more you spin your wheels, the more you burn yourself out. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to plan every move. You don't need to have every outcome figured out. The truth is, you never will. And that's okay. Because once you realize that, once you understand that life doesn't require you to have a perfect grip on everything, you'll be free. You'll be able to breathe again. You'll find peace in the chaos. You'll find strength in the unpredictability. And you'll realize that sometimes the best thing you can do is let go and let life take the wheel. Because no matter how much you try to control it, life will go on, and so will you. Let's talk about that little thing that everyone loves to hate. You know, the thing that sneaks into your life, feeds on your insecurities, and makes you feel like you're drowning in a sea of what-ifs and shoulds. What is it? Oh, it's fear, baby. That delicious little monster that whispers in your ear every time you step out of your comfort zone. Every time you try something new. Fear's your constant companion. It's the shadow that follows you everywhere you go, and let's be honest, it's getting real tired of the whole "I'm not scared" act. It knows the truth. You see, the thing with fear is, it doesn't care about the facts. It doesn't care if you're capable or strong or brave. Fear doesn't want you to succeed. No, no, no. Fear wants you to stay exactly where you are, nice and comfy in your little box, where nothing happens and nothing changes. Fear wants to keep you small. Fear is the puppet master, pulling the strings, making you dance to its tune. And what do? You let it. You let it control you day after day until you're so entangled in its lies that you don't even realize it's in charge. Isn't that funny? You've been given this power, this incredible ability to push through anything, to be bigger than your fears, to break free from their grip, but instead you choose to listen. You listen to the voice that tells you you're not good enough, the voice that says, don't try, you'll fail, the voice that keeps you in line, keeps you hidden from the world, because it's safer in the dark, right? But here's the problem. Staying in the dark is just you giving in to fear. You're playing the game on its terms, not yours. You're letting fear win every single time. Now let's break it down, shall we? Fear is sneaky. It's not always the loud, obvious monster under the bed. Sometimes it's the quiet whisper in your ear that says, "What will people think?" It's the thought that keeps you stuck in the same place, wondering if you'll ever be good enough. You want to start something new, but then fear hits you with a million questions. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if I'm not smart enough? And the worst part? You listen. You listen to that little voice, and the next thing you know, your dreams are in the trash, and you're back in the same old routine. But what if you didn't? What if you decided that fear doesn't get to call the shots anymore? Imagine for a second that you don't listen to that voice. Imagine what it would feel like to step into the unknown, to embrace the discomfort, to leap into the void with nothing but trust in yourself. Scary, right? Of course it is, but here's the kicker. You're stronger than that fear. You're bigger than it. Fear doesn't define you unless you let it. Fear is a liar, and if you keep letting it dictate your life, you're just letting the biggest con artist in the world take control. So, what happens when you stop listening to fear? When you stop giving it the power to hold you back? Well, here's the magic. You start living. You start living the life you were meant to live, not the one fear has carved out for you. You stop hiding, you stop playing small, you take risks, and sometimes you fail. But guess what? Failing isn't the end. No, failing is just the beginning. It's how you grow. It's how you learn. Fear doesn't want you to fail, because it knows that's when you discover how strong you really are. Because you start finding your success, because that's when you realize that failure doesn't make you weak, it makes you unstoppable. But there's a catch, isn't there? Fear doesn't just go away because you tell it to. Oh no. It keeps coming back, trying to sneak into your life, trying to make you second guess yourself. It'll show up when you least expect it, when you're about to take a leap, when you're about to chase your dreams. And this time, it won't be a whisper. It'll be a shout. It'll be everything you've ever feared, all wrapped up in one big package. It'll make you want to run, to hide, to shrink away from the challenge. But here's the thing. You don't have to listen. When fear knocks at your door, you don't have to let it in. You don't have to sit down and have tea with it, entertain it, and let it run the show. You don't have to give it the power to control your next move. You can stand up to it. You can look it in the eye and say, I see you, I know what you're trying to do, but you don't get to win. The more you do that, the more you take control of your own story, the more you start to realize that fear is just a paper tiger. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's an illusion. And when you stop feeding it, when you stop giving it all your energy, it just fades away. But if you keep feeding it, if you keep listening to it, you'll find yourself stuck. And stuck? Well, stuck is just another word for not living. So go on, try it. Try ignoring the fear for once. Try stepping into the unknown, not knowing what will happen next. Try chasing that dream, even if it scares you half to death. And when fear tries to creep back in, don't listen. Don't give it a seat at the table. You've got this. And fear, it's got nothing on you. The perfect game, right? Life's all about playing the cards you're dealt. And here's the thing, they're not always the cards you want. But it's all part of the act. You think you have control. You think you know what's coming next, but the truth? Life's like a trick. You can try to plan it, try to make it all fit neatly into a little box, but it always ends up being something far messier than you imagine. The unpredictability is what makes it all so delicious, isn't it? The game isn't about winning or losing. It's about who has the nerve to keep playing when it seems like everything's falling apart. Who's gonna fold and who's gonna rise to the occasion? You see, life isn't some nice, neat little package wrapped up with a pretty bow. If it were, you'd never feel the rush, the thrill of the unknown. No, life's about chaos. It's about tossing out the rule book and seeing what happens when you throw your hands up and let it happen. It's easy to get caught up in trying to fix everything, isn't it? You try to smooth out all the wrinkles, get the perfect ending, make everything nice and tidy. You get so wrapped up in trying to control it that you forget one important fact. You can't control it. The trick is to stop trying to control it and to start embracing the mess. You want everything to line up perfectly, but the chaos is where the magic happens. Take a second and think about it. You've got all these people around you, right? Everyone's got their own little game going on, and they're playing by their own set of rules. Some of them are telling you what to do, how to play the game. They make you think there's one way to do it, one perfect path to follow. And you're sitting there trying to follow the script, but the script, it's not for you. The script was never meant to be followed. It's the thing that keeps you small, keeps you trapped in the idea that there's only one right way to win. It's the thing that makes you think you have to play by other people's rules just to survive, and that's where the trick happens. The illusion that you have no other choice. The real magic, the real power, it's in letting go of the need to control everything. The more you try to control, the more you're just following a script that doesn't fit you. That's the game you're playing, isn't it? You're trying to follow someone else's rules, trying to live a life that doesn't feel like yours. You're too busy trying to make things fit into a neat little box that you forget to live. Life's not neat. It's not predictable. It's not comfortable. But it's beautiful in its chaos, beautiful in its mess. What happens when you stop trying to control everything? When you just let go, you start realizing that the more you resist, the more you play by someone else's script, the more you lose yourself. You get stuck in these loops, these repetitive motions, trying to make the world around you match the picture you've created in your head. But here's the thing. The world doesn't work like that. The world doesn't care about your neat little plans. The world is messy. The world is unpredictable. The world is chaos. And that's what makes it worth living in. Not the neat little lines you draw, but the spaces between them. It's a funny thing, really, how people try to play the game like it's some kind of puzzle to solve. Like if they just do this, or say that, or follow the right steps, it'll all work out. They say, you just need to be this person, do this thing, act this way, and everything will fall into place. But it doesn't, does it? Because the trick isn't in fitting into someone else's mold. The trick is in stepping out of the mold entirely. Stop playing someone else's game. Stop trying to please everyone and start playing the game on your terms. I mean, let's be real for a second. Who gets to decide what your life is supposed to look like? Who gets to dictate the rules? Who says you can't break the game? Why should you follow the same tired script everyone else is playing by? You're not a character in someone else's story. You're the main event in your own. But here's where it gets tricky. Breaking the rules means stepping into the unknown. It means putting your faith in something beyond the script. It means embracing the mess, embracing the chaos, and letting go of the need to control every little thing. And sure, it's scary, right? Terrifying, actually. But let's face it, that's the fun part. That's the thrill, because once you step out of the mold, once you stop following the same old playbook, you start realizing just how much power you really have. You start realizing that you've been playing this game all wrong. And now you're going to play it your way. Forget the script. Forget the rules. Forget what everyone else says. It's time to rewrite the game, because the only person who gets to decide how your life goes is you. You've been handed all the tools you need. You've got the power, the creativity, the vision. It's all there, waiting for you. But it's up to you to step outside the lines, to break free from the mold, and to play your own game. The world's ready for it. You just have to stop hiding behind the illusion that there's one way to win, because there isn't. The only way to win is by playing the game your way. Ah, the world loves a good performance, doesn't it? The audience is always watching, waiting for you to make a mistake. They can't wait to see you slip up. Why? Because they want to feel better about themselves. They want to see the cracks, to watch someone else fall apart, because it makes them feel less alone in their own dysfunction. It's a little game they all play, a kind of twisted entertainment. They want you to stay in line, follow the script. But you're different, aren't you? You've got this fire inside of you, this urge to break free, to expose the lie that everyone's so desperately trying to live by. You're the one who sees through the mask, who sees the cracks in the perfect little facade everyone is trying to uphold. And that, my friend, is the scariest thing of all. Not the fall. The one mouse, not the chaos. but the realization that once you break free from their game, you're going to have to fight like hell to stay out of it. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You can see the way people look at you when you stop playing by their rules. They start to get nervous. They start to question you. They want you to conform, to go back to being the person they think you should be, the one who fits into their little world of neatly organized boxes and predictable outcomes. But when you step out of those boxes, when you stop fitting into their script, they don't know what to do with you. They can't control you anymore. And that scares the hell out of them. It's not the idea of you being different that's so terrifying. It's the fact that you've found the power to live on your own terms. You've tapped into something they've been too afraid to confront. Your own power. Now, people are good at pretending, aren't they? They smile, nod, play the game. They'll tell you that everything's fine, that everything's under control. But behind those smiles, behind those empty words, that's where the real story lies. The truth is, they're just as scared as you are. They're just as unsure. The difference is, they hide it better. They've been trained to keep up appearances. They've been conditioned to smile through the pain, to pretend like they've got it all figured out. But you're not playing that game. You see the cracks in their perfect little worlds, and you know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. They're not fooling you. You're different. You can't go back to pretending like everything's fine, pretending like you're just another cog in the machine. You see the lies now, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. It's like a switch has been flipped, and you're no longer playing by their rules. You're the one calling the shots now, and that's a dangerous place to be. You've stepped out of the shadow, and now the world is yours for the taking. But don't mistake this for easy street. The world isn't going to roll out the red carpet for you just because you woke up to the truth. No, the real game begins now. The real battle is in maintaining your power, in holding your ground, in not falling back into their trap. No, because here's the thing, my friend. When you stop playing their game, when you stop following the script, they're not going to let you go easily. They'll try to drag you back in. They'll try to guilt trip you, manipulate you, make you feel like you're the one who's in the wrong for wanting more, for wanting something different. But that's the thing, isn't it? The moment you step out of the game, you're a threat to everyone still stuck in it. You're the reminder of what they could have if they had the guts to break free. But most won't. Most will stay locked in their little cages, terrified of what would happen if they stopped playing the part they were assigned. They're too comfortable in their misery, too scared to face the truth about themselves. But you don't need their approval. You never did. You never needed to follow their rules or fit into their little world. You've got your own game to play now. You've found the truth, and with that truth comes power. It's like a weapon, a key that unlocks everything. You're not scared of the consequences anymore because you know the truth. And once you know the truth, once you see through the smoke and mirrors, you realize just how much power you have. But it's not just about breaking free. It's about what you do with that freedom. It's about what comes next. And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The world doesn't get to decide who you are. The world doesn't get to dictate your choices anymore. You get to do that. You get to rewrite the script. You get to play the game on your terms. And that, my friend, is the most liberating thing of all. The world is your stage now. So go ahead, take the lead, and watch as everyone else scrambles to catch up. Because the truth is, you're the one who's been playing the game all along. They just never saw it coming. I love the sound of chaos. It's music to my ears, really. You hear that? That's the sound of people squirming, trying to hold everything together while their lives are crumbling around them. Isn't it funny how they try to control everything? They act like if they just tighten their grip, hold on a little longer, it'll all make sense again. But here's the thing. They're holding on to something that was never meant to be held. Control, power, perfection, it's all an illusion. It's a beautiful little lie that they've been feeding themselves for years, thinking they can outsmart the universe. But no matter how tightly they grip, no matter how hard they try to hold onto that fragile thread of control, it always slips away. That's the thing about life. It doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care about your comfort zone. It doesn't care about your carefully constructed little bubble. Life will crack it open and pour its madness all over you, whether you're ready or not. And here's the kicker. Most people will fight it. Oh, they'll fight like hell to keep everything just the way it was, to keep up the facade that they've got it all figured out. But the truth is that they're running on fumes, living in denial, trapped in their own little delusion. They try to control what's uncontrollable, they try to predict what's unpredictable, and they fail every time. But you know what they do when they fail? They turn to the closest thing they can blame: others. It's easier to point fingers, isn't it? Easier to say, if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't be in this mess. But it's never their fault. They'll always find someone or something to hold responsible for their misery. And that, my friend, is the beautiful lie that they cling to. They can never accept that they're the architects of their own chaos. No, that would require self-awareness. That would require confronting the ugly truth that they've been chasing after the wrong things all along. And while they waste their time blaming everyone else for their problems, you're different. You see through all of it. You see the desperation, the lies, the fear that lies beneath the surface. You see that the more they try to control, the more they spiral out of control. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Watching them scramble, trying to keep everything together, all the while digging themselves deeper into a hole they can't crawl out of. But that's the beauty of it, because you don't need control. You don't need to hold on to anything. You've learned that the harder you try to control, the harder it becomes to let go when the time comes. You know that life is messy, unpredictable, chaotic, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can stop fighting it, the sooner you can let go and breathe. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop trying to control everything, when you stop resisting the chaos, something amazing happens. You begin to see the truth. You begin to realize that life isn't about getting everything right. It's not about living up to some perfect, polished standard that doesn't even exist. It's not about living in a neatly packaged box with all the answers and no mistakes. No. Life is about embracing the mess. It's about leaning into the discomfort, leaning into the unknown, and realizing that it's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to be. That's where the real power lies. Not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in surrendering to it, in dancing with the chaos. And let me tell you something. Once you make peace with that, once you stop trying to fight the storm and start letting it wash over you, you'll feel something shift inside of you. You'll realize that the chaos doesn't control you. No, you control how you react to it. And that's the key. That's the real power. You can't control life. You can't control the people around you. You can't control what happens next. But you can control how you respond to it. And that, my friend, is the difference between living in fear and living in freedom. So, while the world around you keeps trying to fight the chaos, keeps trying to wrestle it into submission, you're going to be the one sitting back, watching it all unfold, knowing that you don't need to play by their rules. You don't need to follow their script. You're going to be the one who embraces the mess, who laughs in the face of the chaos, who finds peace in the madness. And that's what makes you dangerous, isn't it? Because when you stop fighting the storm, when you stop resisting what's inevitable, you find a freedom that no one can take away. You stop being controlled by the world, by the expectations, by the fear. You become the one who sets the terms, who dances to your own rhythm, who isn't afraid to laugh in the face of the madness. And that's the kind of power that they'll never understand. They'll keep trying to control the chaos, keep trying to tame it, while you're over here living freely, knowing that the real power lies. I love the way people pretend that they can solve every little problem, fix every mess, and control every situation. It's adorable, really. The way they rush around, scrambling to tighten every loose end, to perfect everything. They think if they just have the right answer, just the right formula, that life will finally stop throwing curveballs, that the world will finally stop throwing curveballs, that the world will finally start to make sense. But it doesn't work like that, does it? Life doesn't bend to your will. It doesn't care about your plans, your hopes, your dreams, your expectations. It laughs in your face as it swerves and dodges the neat little boxes you try to put it in. And you know what? That's the beauty of it. But no, people don't get it. They never do. They look at the chaos around them, and instead of accepting it for what it is, they fight it. They fight it tooth and nail, thinking if they just try harder, if they just push a little more, that somehow everything will work out. But it won't. It never does. You can push, you can pull, you can scream at the top of your lungs, but you're never going to get the outcome you think you deserve. You're never going to be in control, no matter how hard you try. And you know why? Because control is just an illusion. It's a lie. A trap that they've set for themselves. And they're so desperate to fall into it. They're so desperate to believe that if they just fight hard enough, if they just keep pretending they've got everything under control, that they won't get hurt. But they will. Everyone does. You can only fight for so long before you burn out, before you're so exhausted that you can't even see straight. But here's the kicker. In their desperation to control everything, in their desperation to make sense of the chaos, they miss the real point, the real trick. They're so caught up in the fight, so caught up in their own drama, that they forget to look at the bigger picture. They forget to look at what's really happening around them. They forget that the chaos they're so desperately trying to control is actually their greatest teacher. The mess is their lesson. The unpredictability of life is their gift. But they don't see it. They're too busy trying to control everything, to understand that the mess isn't their enemy, it's their opportunity. Because the truth is, you're never going to have it all figured out. No one does. And that's okay. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to not know what's coming next. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to fall. In fact, it's more than okay. It's necessary. You can't grow without falling. You can't learn without failing. You can't get stronger without being pushed to the edge. And the people who keep fighting to control everything, they're missing the point. They're stuck in a loop, trapped in a never-ending cycle of trying to make things perfect, trying to force everything to fit into their neat little boxes. But it's never going to work, is it? No matter how many times they try, no matter how many times they attempt to fix it, it will always slip away. It will always break through their fingers. Because chaos is a part of life. It's the fabric that holds everything together. And when you finally realize that, that's when the real power comes. That's when you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, on things you can't change. And that's when you get to choose your response. You get to decide how you handle the chaos. Do you let it consume you? Do you let it break you down and leave you in pieces? Or do you step back, take a deep breath, and accept that it's all part of the ride? Do you embrace it, laugh at it, and let it teach you? Do you see the chaos not as a problem to fix, but as an opportunity to learn, because that's the choice. You can keep fighting, you can keep resisting, you can keep chasing that illusion of control, or you can step into the unknown, laugh at the unpredictability, and find power in the chaos. And when you do, when you stop trying to control everything, that's when you start to truly live. That's when you start to feel alive. Because control is overrated. The real power is in the freedom to let go, to stop trying to fix everything, and to just be. Just be in the moment. Just be in the mess. Just be in the chaos. And that, my friend, is where the magic happens.